How can the government appeal to voters who support Mr. Poilievre when members of the government, including yourself, have called him things like a snake oil salesman or, as you said earlier, a wrestling manager from the 80s?
Welcome back to Moose on the Loose. My name's David. Today, we've got the aftermath of the Liberals losing their stronghold. The Liberals are melting down. We've got a full unhinged rant from Mark Miller, from Mark Holland, from Stephen Guilbeault, from the Liberal leader of Ontario, insulting Trudeau, distancing herself from Trudeau with... it's getting wild. Let's jump into this. So first off, we got this clip here from the CBC, and basically there's 4 unnamed MPs, Liberal MPs, that have not so nice things to say about Trudeau. They want him to step down. They won't name themselves. They're hiding their identity.
Several Liberal MPs, speaking on the condition CBC would not name them, shared different views with CBC News. One saying, "I think the Prime Minister, just to safeguard his own legacy, has to step down. And on the party's direction, everything we've done in the past year has been tone deaf." Another said, "Major changes are needed, but I'm not sure what they are yet." And on the question of Trudeau's leadership, does he have to go? I think it's difficult to see other options. But a third MP told CBC it is the Prime Minister's decision to make. The caucus isn't planning a revolt against Trudeau.
There you have it. So 4 different MPs. I bet you there's more. There's more than just 4. Those are 4 willing to talk to CBC and say Trudeau's done. It's crumbling from the inside. Next up, we got this clip here of David Cochrane back and forth with Mark Holland. Mark Holland just goes completely unhinged. They're all unhinged. I like this caption here by Josh Ryan. It says, raving lunatic Mark Holland said, "If you take your family on a road trip, you'll burn the planet." He has a meltdown on CBC after Conservatives flip Toronto St. Paul's riding to Conservative blue. Unhinged Liberal gong show continues.
They were examined on Monday, Toronto St. Paul. Well, I mean, look, the walls of Fortress.
What did they do?
They won Toronto St. Paul. They breached Fortress Toronto. Like, that matters, though, Minister. That matters.
I mean, come on. What did they do? What did the Conservatives do? They came in and they said everything that's wrong in the world. No, because people are upset for sure, and then it's in a by-election where there is no consequences to flipping a seat. And right now, who's happy about the world? Like, it's tough out there. I don't care. You go to any country. I don't care where you go. These are difficult times. People are frustrated with that.
I know. America's pretty good right now. I mean, there's obviously things that could be a lot better in America, but financially, housing prices, food prices, they're doing a lot better down there.
So, yeah, congratulations to the Conservatives. They got people to agree that the world is tough right now.
They were examined.
This is hilarious. He's like acting like a toddler throwing a temper tantrum.
On Monday, Toronto St. Paul. Well, I mean, look, the walls of Fortress.
What did they do?
They won Toronto St. Paul's. They breached Fortress Toronto. Like, that matters, though, Minister. That matters.
What's wrong with this guy? These Liberals are all nuts. All the Liberals have learned nothing. Yeah, they really haven't learned anything. They were all born this way. Well, he's turning out to be quite the tempered thinker. I thought he had more self-control than that. Just saying, way to insult the voters in Toronto St. Paul's. Do the Liberals ever learn? Temper, Mark Holland. These clips keep getting nuttier. We've got this one here where a Liberal organizer basically claims it was election interference, which is why the Conservatives won. So this woman here with the microphone is from Rebel News.
How do you feel about the Liberal loss last night of this riding?
I'm surprised. She was leading by 700 and then woke up this morning and it was about 590 for Stewart.
Why do you think that is?
I think there was electoral interference by Melissa Lansman. She sent letters to the Jewish community to vote for Conservative.
Is that considered electoral interference?
I think she represents Thornhill, not Toronto.
This guy's in Spaceland. Like, he's 100% one of the guys like, oh yeah, Trudeau, can you legalize the green Luigis? I want to be cooked all day. And like, look at this. This guy is still here. Every single shot of the space, this guy's here. Can they not give this guy some help?
What about Chrystia Freeland coming on the same day as polling?
Leslie Church worked for Chrystia Freeland.
Would that be considered election interference, though, if Chrystia Freeland came and gave a speech in the riding the same day as the election?
No, that's an endorsement.
Wow, this guy's cooked. He's long gone. Someone else pointed out the irony is the homeless guy sleeping in front of Church's office. I think the Jewish community in Toronto knows who is evil. And it is the those words I'm not going to read out. T word. Strong analysis, Voltaire. Lips, come get your man. So next up, we've got this event here, which was all in French, but they asked a few questions in English. And Mark Miller really runs his mouth here. He starts swearing. Don't worry, Mark Miller, I got you covered. I'll bleep you out. I know you have a hard time holding your fire tongue there. He speaks like an unhinged loser here, not as a parliamentarian representing the government of Canada.
Turia Isri, Global News. On Toronto St. Paul's, as a close friend and colleague of Mr. Trudeau, what would be your advice to him on whether he should stay on as Prime Minister after that defeat and low poll numbers for the Liberals across the country?
Well, first and foremost, my advice as a close friend would not be given publicly. That's for sure. Second, my advice to him as a minister and as a colleague professionally is absolutely to stay on. This is a loss. Let's not minimize the loss. I think a lot of us have to take a step back and give our heads a shake, screw it on a little better, stop the navel gazing and get back on the horse and fight for Canadians. We have some real challenges that Canadians have told us time and time again. They want to see their government fighting. Affordability is one of them, and that is something that we need to focus squarely on. So the quicker that we can go through, there's obviously a period of introspection that occurs after any win or after any loss, frankly, regardless of its significance. It is an important process to go through, but the quicker that we can get back on the horse and keep fighting for Canadians, I think the better. The Prime Minister is the person that is the best placed to take the fight to Pierre Poilievre, someone that has a completely different view of what our country looks like and the direction that it's going in. I think quite a negative one. I love my country. I'm going to fight for every inch of it. I believe the Prime Minister is going to do it as well.
Well, you heard it there from Mark Miller. They're going to get back on that horse. I was waiting for them to roll up their sleeves too, right, guys? This is the guy who's the immigration minister. He can quite literally tomorrow change the immigration rates, drop it down to 0, get rid of all the foreign students, minimize the foreign workers to only the essentials that we need, construction workers, whatever it may be. And he doesn't do that. He could solve the problem tomorrow if he wanted. He doesn't want to. They want to keep bringing all these people from all over the planet, especially certain regions that bring in a lot of hostility to our streets. That's what they want. That's what they're bringing in. They've intentionally done this. You don't have to take my word for it. Just look around the streets. That's what they've done. Their actions speak loud. This guy could fix the problem tomorrow. He doesn't care about Canada. He doesn't care about Canadians. All he cares about is his childhood friend, Justin Trudeau. This guy grew up with Justin Trudeau. They went to private school together. They grew up together. He was one of the best men at Justin Trudeau's wedding. Mark Miller's as trustworthy as gas station sushi. This guy, Captain Rage, has got to go. Just wait. He gets amped up here.
And my question is, why then?
Well, I think he's the best place to beat Pierre Poilievre, who, as I've said publicly, is a fake. I think he doesn't present any concrete vision of Canada that I support. It's a guy full of slogans. Most people don't really know what they mean. They may be catchy, but he reminds me of a wrestling manager from the 80s, just yelling slogans with the heel, and everyone likes to boo or to cheer. I mean, this is just, I don't know why this has become the state of Canadian politics.
You just called Pierre Poilievre a wrestling manager from the 80s? This guy's saying this on the government's TV. Unbelievable.
But that's the reality of what I see. It's not a WWF match. This is reality. Canadians are suffering, and we need to fight for them. So, Prime Minister...
Does that involve bringing in 1.2 million people per year, breaking our housing system? Is that how you fight for Canadians? Thanks, Mark Miller. Thanks for nothing.
As a vision, we are a government that's 8 or 9 years old. I understand people can get tired of the government in place. Lots has happened. Whether people are right or wrong, they do blame the government for a number of things that are going on. Isn't a question of blaming, but that's the reality that people are feeling. We got a message that was loud and clear from Toronto St. Paul's. That was what was considered a quote-unquote safe riding. We should absolutely never take anything for granted as a government, and we need to listen to the people that voted in the way they voted, screw our heads on better, and then move on.
He really likes that screw his head on better thing. I mean, maybe that works for him. He's very robotic. He's a hard man to read. He's like stone cold. But after I saw that one hearing where he's like Captain Rage, he was getting so angry. He's being basically cross-examined by the conservatives at committee there. I just see the fire in this guy's eyes.
How can the government appeal to voters who support Mr. Poilievre when members of the government, including yourself, have called him things like a snake oil salesman or, as you said earlier, a wrestling manager from the 80s?
Look, I've been quite clear. I think the guy's a fake. We shouldn't.
What was that right there? Right at the start. Yeah, that there. This is his initial reaction. There you go, everyone. This is Mark Miller, our immigration minister, calling Pierre Poilievre a snake oil salesman and a wrestling manager from the 80s. Have a nice laugh on government TV here, Cpac.
Look, I've been quite clear. I think the guy's a fake. We shouldn't focus too much on this guy. I think Canadians are smart. And as I've said, Canadians have pretty good detectors, and they know when they're being and
easy there, easy with the swears, big guy. Yeah, we definitely have a BS detector. That's why we're going to vote you out, and you're going to lose your job. You're done.
That's just the reality of things. I think over the course of the year, people will realize that, and I trust you. Got to trust Canadians. They sent us a message on earlier yesterday morning, and that's a message that we can't ignore. So yes, we have someone that is peddling politics that we have not seen in Canada in my lifetime, but I don't.
Here it goes. It's imported, right, from America?
I think in the history of Canada, he's imported it.
There it is.
From South in his own style, and it works for him. So let it work for him. Let Canadians be the judge. We also have a job to govern over the next year, and that means actually doing the work. Canadians are frustrated with us for their own reasons that have nothing to do with Pierre Poilievre. He's weaponizing that. Let's be clear about that. But let's also talk about visions of Canada. I love my country. I'm going to fight for every inch of it.
And just one more.
You're not going to fight for anything, man. You don't care about this country at all. All you care about is propping up your buddy, your childhood buddy, Justin Trudeau.
One more question. So what's your message to fellow Liberals who are talking about a leadership change?
That's a message I'll keep internally.
Ooh.
Thank you.
That's a spicy little nugget there. Keeping that internal. Yeah, I'm sure you and your best friend there, Justin Trudeau, have a lot of chats about your failures. Mark Miller creeps me out. There's something about that guy. It's just really, ugh. Moving over here, check this out. We've got the woke Toronto Star. Justin Trudeau's political career is over. He can walk away with dignity now. No, he can't. Or stick around to get creamed by a man he loathes. They're just trying to get those clicks, are they? Don't worry, Toronto Star. None of us are clicking on your crap. This is hilarious, though. They're trying the best. Justin Trudeau's dignity died about 8 years ago. The very first year he was in power, after 1 year, I got a whiff. I was like, ooh, something stinks over here. Something's wrong with this guy. I don't trust this guy. It's just got stinkier and stinkier every year he's been in power. Check out this comment here. Taking full advantage, pretending to be unbiased. We see you jumping out of a window of a burning building Liberals built, then set on fire. You're with them every step of the way. We see you. Yeah. Toronto Star, like, come on. Enough with it. Just people posting the backwards hammer photo. Look at this guy. He's like, get him away from me. He's not done until he's done, and he won't be done until he secures his heavy pension. He's going to continue to get creamed by men either way. Next up, we got Stephen Guilbeault here. He had a few things to say about the election defeat.
I'm not a political analyst expert, but I know enough about politics that one should be careful by drawing direct links between a by-election and a general election. And we know that different things can happen in by-election. It's certainly not the result that we were hoping for. And I want to thank Leslie and all of our teams of volunteers who worked so hard. It's not what we were hoping in terms of result, but we have many months ahead of us to continue working to help Canadians and to support Canadians, and I continue to believe that we can do that to get to a result that will be one that we hope for in the next election.
Well, finally, once I agree with Stephen Guilbeault. I agree. He is not a political analyst. Really, any advice Stephen Guilbeault should be giving out is how to illegally climb buildings or break the law or how to put on an orange jumpsuit. Universal basic income is on the table, folks. Yeah, that's their last play. What we're seeing here with Guilbeault is a man who looks just as defeated as the rest of them. He knows he needs to get to October to get his golden pension. And I think he's one of the ones that has to have the couple days extra. So they have to try to shimmy the election back a week so they can secure those pensions. It's not happening. You guys can get right out of the government with no pensions. Really, we should be taking away all their pensions for all the money they've wasted.
Want a national caucus meeting? I don't know if they're going to get a national caucus meeting soon because they're not supposed to meet till they meet in early September, late August. But to demand this point is going to be tough to move ahead and talk about other things until you clear the air on this and have that kind of a conversation.
It doesn't seem like the Prime Minister wants to do that. He may have a whole bunch of different reasons for that, though it would be good caucus management to try and do that, bring people together after a tough loss would seem wise, but ultimately it's up to him. I think one of the things the Prime Minister doesn't get credit for, and it's hard to afford credit to the poor man for anything at the moment, but I will give him this. He has future-proofed his party in such a way that he, at least to date, has prevented and probably will still be able to hold off internal revolt and division. When he took over the party, he got rid of all of that with the Chrétien-Martin wars. In a strange way, he's created this space that is allowing him to have fidelity from his key cabinet ministers, at least publicly, and control of the organization. So I don't think you're going to see an internal revolt as you may
No, I don't think so either.
Martin Never, or you would have seen in the Conservative side. I think this is still Justin Trudeau's call. But you do have to wonder, the man is not stupid. He has to look across the country and see, it's not just this by-election. It's in just about any election where anybody's been wearing a red Liberal jersey over the last year, provincially, federally. There's been a massive repudiation of that L. And because the guy who leads that team is Justin Trudeau. Fair or unfair, that is what it is at. And unless Justin Trudeau wants to oversee, if he were to have an election day be a significant defeat. The one thing I'd add, I'm sorry I'm droning on about this, I've heard the theory mounted that, he's also thinking that he's the only one who can lead the party against Pierre Poilievre and make sure it's not a huge loss. Everything right now is a referendum about him. I don't think that's going to change. So I think if he is thinking that, he might have to reflect further on whether that's good advice or not.
The one thing to note about him talking about a caucus meeting and members not revolting, why are they not revolting? People don't just do this out of the goodness of their heart, especially if you're talking politicians. Let's just face it, a lot of politicians are not the most honest people. They're driven by money and power. And sure, there are some good politicians, but I mean, Trudeau's got to be offering up something on the back end. Is it the golden pensions for some of them? Is he going to be cutting them a check out of the Cayman Islands? I don't know. Could be. Maybe there's some of that spicy Ukraine cash that's coming their way. Maybe he had all of them invest a bunch of money in some of these eco companies that he gave a whole bunch of money to. Who knows? There's got to be some reason that these people are not revolting against him because they're getting rich somehow. Otherwise they would. Why would they stay loyal to someone who's destroying their career? It makes no sense whatsoever. It has to be financially driven that they are benefiting significantly, thus they wouldn't revolt. That is the only thing that makes logical sense. Period. What that is, I don't know. Maybe they're all shareholders of one of these companies. I'll be digging into a bunch of these 17 or 19 companies that they gave money from that $8 billion fund into, and only 2 of them are following eco-regulation. So basically, we gave out upwards of whatever it is, $7-8+ billion to companies that have no obligation to reduce their emissions. You have to think that these guys got to be shareholders in it. They have to have some sort of connection to those people, to those companies. Or pick another scandal. There's a whole bunch of them. There's got to be a reason that they're staying loyal. They've got a few interesting words here at the end of this segment too. At the end of this segment here, they play a clip from the Liberal leader of Ontario, where she is basically kind of revolting against Trudeau. This is interesting.
Spoke with Ontario Liberal leader Bonnie Crombie just before Monday's vote about Doug Ford's PC's running ads, framing her as a friend of Justin Trudeau. Listen to what the Ontario Liberal leader had to say.
Our policies are different. My ideological standing is a little different. I'm much more of a centrist. Having been a mayor, I was very fiscally responsible, and I've never run a deficit, yet I'm very socially progressive, as you well know.
Trying to make you out as being a friend of Justin Trudeau.
I think the bigger friend is Doug Ford, is the closer friend of Justin Trudeau. You see them in photographs and in meetings together quite often. probably speak to the Prime Minister less than once a year.
So, Amanda, that's...
Yeah, so basically, she's trying to say, hey, I got nothing to do with Trudeau. Oh, look at Doug Ford. He's hanging out with him all the time. Yeah, because he keeps doing all the EV grants, all the EV stuff, Honda. Of course he's going to be there. Photo ops, anything that has to do with Ontario. She's just trying to pass it off that he's more friends than her. This is unbelievable. Everyone's revolting. Well, the internal caucus isn't revolting. You've got people like her. There are others, and some of those anonymous ones obviously as well. So next up, we got a clip here of Justin Trudeau flipping pancakes versus Danielle Smith. Okay, I can't have the music in there. Off the hat and in. Trudeau, like, look at this guy. He's never flipped. That's the first time ever, I bet, he's ever flipped a pancake. He's like, ooh, is that how you do it? You rotate it? Normally I just pay my servant. All right, jumping over to my group here. Let's see what memes we got. I wonder what the next move for the NDP is. Yeah, that's a good question. Because Jagmeet's got to think pretty long and hard, because if Trudeau steps down and call an election, or I mean, if they call election, they just know they're conceding, they lose. So they won't do that. But for some reason, if their master Klaus Schwab tells them to, Jagmeet doesn't get his golden pension. So that's all he's got to be thinking about right now. But Jagmeet also, he's going to want to try to move into that power position, because he knows Trudeau, and I bet he's had many talks with him. They probably need time to hide their scandals and whatever they're doing. Jagmeet's got to walk the line a bit, where he's still playing with Trudeau nicely, but then he can also try to move into that second position. It's all a game of chess, except there's three sides going on here. Now that we know the grid is struggling to keep up with energy demands of a few hot days, it seems like the right time to evaluate the plan to plug in 25 million electric cars every single night. Yeah, that's, I don't know. The Liberals just kind of glaze over that. They just like, nah, let's not talk about that. We don't have the grid that supports these cars. If malware virus was a person. Get Guilbeault in there. He's already got the jumpsuit. So this is at Main Street Science World in Vancouver. I used to live right across the street from there. I don't know what it sounds like. It sounds like a zombie apocalypse. I don't know what's going on there. Drama queen meets drag queen. JT did a thing. An actual moose on the loose in, I'm not going to say this place here. Anytime it looks French, I say it wrong. A couple hours ago, Walmart parking lot, as reported by a Liberal MP here. Go figure, an actual moose running away from a Liberal. Yeah, that's not going to happen. This moose wasn't afraid. This moose was going to rally the troops. I did that. So here's this post I was talking about the other day. It says, beaches are not toilets. Don't do it here. These are ads being run in Africa. In South Africa, and you can see for paid by the Canadian government. Why are we spending our money to... This is so dumb. Stop open defecation. Like, we got people sleeping on the streets, and they're paying for money for people to stop pooping on the beach in South Africa. This is almost as dumb as the millions of dollars they're spending on hiring the guys and the helicopters from America and New Zealand to come pew like 60 deer on Sydney Island and Vancouver Island here, where the hunters would do it for free. This is almost as dumb as that. It starts. It's Don Stewart. It starts. It is time for you to ascend, Simba. Temperatures in 2017. Temperatures in 2022. These are all hotter. It's not fair Sophie gets to leave Trudeau, but the rest of us can't. No. And she gets to take half his money, too. The opposite is happening. He's taking half of our money. That's when we're going to wrap up this episode. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys thought about this episode. We've got Grumpy Pants, Fire in His Eyes, Mark Miller running his mouth, swearing. We've got Mark Holland throwing a temper tantrum on CBC. I feel this week's going to be extra interesting with just all the stuff going on. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I greatly appreciate all of you. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, turn on the post notifications, get notified of all my videos. We'll keep fighting for freedom. I'll see you guys in the next one.